So I haven't posted anything in a really long time, but I figured I'd make a really quick video on something I recently did with my 89 F350 with the 7.3 IDI. My water pump was leaking, so I had to take everything apart to replace that. And I had recently bought a second IDI motor that had a full ATS 093 turbo kit on it. It was a 93, so it was a factory serpentine belt system with a 3G alternator. So I wanted to get rid of the V belt system, all the little multiple belts. So I figured this would be a perfect time to swap everything over to the serpentine system. Now, the swap is actually incredibly easy. Your power steering pump is in the exact same spot. The lines go right into it from your last one. There's nothing you have to worry about with that. You are going to the newer style AC compressor. Now, I had a aftermarket AC kit added to this truck because this was not a factory AC rig. So I had made my own AC lines. And on my aftermarket universal AC compressor, both fittings were right here. Well, on Amazon, I found this adapter. I don't know if you can see that. Let me shine a light. Right there. That located both of the AC lines up here. Now, this would have been originally an R12 truck, but the kit that I put in came with 134 fittings on it, so it was as simple as just putting 134 into it, and that worked out perfectly. I was able to maintain my homemade AC lines, also from a kit that I got off Amazon. It was dirt cheap, super easy, super convenient. Run the factory Ford AC compressor. Even the it's funny because even if you don't have an AC rig, if you get the controller from an AC rig, just the HVAC controls, your wiring harness will already have the plug for a factory AC compressor. So that was as simple as just plugging that in. Now, another thing is you're going from a 1G alternator to a 3G alternator, which means you have a regulator if you have a 1G and a different harness. That is a very simple solution. Painless sells a 3G alternator, like a universal install kit for the wiring. Comes with really nice wiring. I didn't put looming on it yet. I just electrical taped it. Kind of looks janky, but it's, you know, a bed-lined flatbed brick nose, so we're not super concerned about it. It's just a work truck. This kit is super easy. You can steal your ignition on circuit and your constant from the wires that went to your factory voltage regulator. That's, you know, it's just that easy. You get your power right off your starter solenoid, and it just plugs right in. You get nice fresh connectors. I went from hardly pulling maybe 13 volts in an idle to a solid just shy 15 volts at all times. This is a Power Stroke alternator with the, I believe it was either a 140 amp. The IDI alternator was replaced by the previous owner of the motor that I had pulled. He did a Power Stroke swap on his truck, hence the reason I was able to get the motor off of him with the ATS 093 kit, which will be going on to this soon. I will talk about that in just a moment. But once you take all your old V-belt setup off, just unbolt all the brackets. It's super easy. And then you can just bolt this in. There's 3 bolts there and 3 bolts here. It goes right on. You put the belt on. It routes that easy. Your vacuum pump goes from over here to up here. That is as simple as taking the line and moving it over. It is a different vacuum pump. The other one, it's the same pump, just one is tapped and threaded on the older style that's down there. This one, the bolts go through. Now, the new engine did come with a vacuum pump on it, but it had crud in it, and I didn't want to use it. I knew my newer vacuum pump was good. I wanted to use this. Just got a pulley puller, pulled off the old V-belt pulley, put it onto this. I drilled out the threads and put through bolts in, and that is all there is to that. And now, you know, I'm very happy with this. Sorry for the little pause in the video. I just had the FedEx guy show up and drop off a fuel tank my brother had ordered for his Power Stroke. He's getting rid of the 19-gallon and going to a 38-gallon. Spectra makes a kit for it. I'm actually doing the same thing with this, but back to this. The pulley for the serpentine kit is actually slightly smaller. So I did notice that my braking boost, like the brake booster, does seem more effective now that I've gone to this kit. Gates belt. I should have probably gone with the green one. I've had best luck on that with my other ones, but you know, I got what was in stock at the time. And like I said, that one was just as simple as taking, this is literally the same hose that just routed over there. Like, I'm not exactly sure how the original routing is because the engine I got was 93, but it was obviously out of truck, so I don't know how it was routed. I just simply took the hose because it was long enough, and the original vacuum pump sits on here, and just routed it over here. This also allows you to get down to your fuel pump much easier, which was going to be convenient for me when I go to install this ATS 093 kit here soon, because I'm going to be putting a fresh fuel pump on it. I do have Classic Diesel Designs upgraded feed line kit to this injection pump with the gauge on it, and I know most of these run around like 5 psi. Kind of bounce around 3.5-ish in that range, and it's within spec, but I would like a fresh pump on it. I'm putting a turbo on, and it's get all the fuel we need. 93 is not a factory IDI turbo motor, but the guy that had the last one did previously have his injection pump gone through via R&D, which is another 7.3 IDI, 6.9 IDI kind of specialist. He makes really cool fuel return line, a kit that deletes these soft return lines and goes to a billet rail. And I do have those in my shop, and I installed them on this engine, but I actually uninstalled them because I was ignorant and assumed it did not fix my issue and thought I was still getting air intrusions, or there because I was having air intrusion issues, when in reality the issue is coming from my switch valve being hung open partially. Granted, this has been deleted, one of the tanks has been deleted and it's down to one tank. It was just pulling from nothingness, and that was where my air intrusion issue was the whole time. So I'm probably going to put my rails, those nice billet rails, because they do look really nice. He does a phenomenal job machining them. A solid chunk of aluminum. They sit right on top. They are very tricky to install with the engine in. Took me 2 tries to get eyes to like get it right. Crack all the injectors loose. You kind of just wiggle them as you go down. These lines come off fairly easy to just work around. But I am going to be swapping the pump that was gone through by R&D and calibrated for the turbo kit. And then Banks still makes a downpipe kit for the 093 kit. They have like their downpipe for the Banks Sidewinder turbo kit, and then they sell a downpipe kit for this engine as well with the 093 kit. So that just showed up. I recently put just some glow shift gauges in, you know. We got the EGT and we got a boost, and I do have a trans temp one here because I had the gauge laying around. I'm planning on swapping. This is a manual truck, so it's not necessary. Fast Coolers does sell a pretty sweet capacity increaser, and it's, you know, finned aluminum to help keep these temps down when here in Washington hauling over the pass. You can burn these transmissions out by overheating them. And it is tapped to be able to put a transmission temp gauge on it, but I don't think that's necessary. I don't think I'm going to be hauling as often and regularly with that kind of weight that I'm going to concern myself with that. I do have the 42 ZF5, so not as strong, but if I blow it up, it's just an excuse to put a 47 in it. So I'm going to be relocating the fuel pressure gauge from the engine bay to here so I can keep an eye on that. It's not quite as important if you don't have an e-fuel kit, but it's nice to have, and I may end up going e-fuel in the future, but I do just like things being simple and mechanical. You just can't beat it for a truck that doesn't really do much other than come out to work. I have other trucks for other purposes. F-150 for all the light duty regular stuff, and the old trusty Ford Ranger for the daily driver. But I'm gonna go into the shop now and show off the 093 kit. Nothing special there, just, you know, I just want to show off a little bit, and then I'll eventually I have some side work and some other projects I have to take care of first, but I will eventually do an update video once I get that going with installing that, especially with summer going on. It's wheeling season. I want to use this to haul my Jeep. So, and it hauls it fine. It's just real slow going. Sure would haul it a lot nicer with an ATS 093 kit on it. Probably gonna put classic diesel designs, or just, you know, get a generic intercooler kit and build it myself, and keep the EGTs down, and probably put a wicked wheel on it. I haven't decided if I'm going to leave the wastegate intact, adjust it, or delete it on it yet. Granted, the injection pump I have, I don't know if it necessarily will feed enough to keep any extra boost going, and it isn't, even with a wicked wheel, the factory turbo that goes to the 093 doesn't really feed it. Sorry, it's a huge mess in the shop. Little brother just finished up doing a manual swap on his Power Stroke, and as you can see, we got projects just everywhere. But here's the engine that the serpentine kit actually came off of. I kind of roughly bolted up some of the V-belt stuff because it would be nice to have, and I didn't want to lose it or where it all went. So I just loosely kind of bolted that all on to this motor, because I do think I'm probably going to end up putting this motor together as just another factory NA motor. And my wife is really into the whole van life stuff. Not that we're going to go live in a van or nothing, but, you know, road trips would be really cool. And I get 23 miles a gallon out of my IDI, and if we're not hauling out of it, just hauling around in a van, this would be really cool in an old Econoline, like early 80s, kind of the one with the front bullnose face, the dent side taillights, and do a manual swap. But it does have a newer turbo on it. That is something I was very grateful for. This feed line is kind of botched together, the oil return line, but I have a brand new one. Classic Diesel Designs 093 install kit. That looks great. I also deleted on this glow plug controller. I have Classic Diesel Design standalone setup, which completely removes it from this valley. You have a huge relay off there. It's just a push button now. It's great. It's a mess. I just kind of leave everything on here so I don't lose anything in the process of me waiting. But I will be running this injection pump. This is a factory NA vehicle too. It was actually a factory NA automatic, hence the transmission throttle controller right here. But he had a manual on it, so I don't know if he ever swapped this motor in, blew up the old one, or if he just did a manual swap. Didn't ask him about that. But I'm going to put this injection pump on. It's a fresher injection pump. It's been gone through. Mine's had hard life on it. It was previously a straight up farm truck, so it had some, you know, farm fixes on it that I've been going through and fixing as they've been issues. But this injection pump's much cleaner, much nicer. I'll just take this transmission valve off, and I'll probably just sell it because I don't plan to ever hook this up to a automatic, but I guess I could. I do have that automatic, and then that's a big block E440 for the 460 sitting right there. But I could go that route, but I think I'd just rather have it be in manual. I haven't decided yet, but gotta step over my mess. This is the Banks downpipe that I have just test fitted up here for now. The old downpipe on these 093s is much like the 7.3 Power Stroke and just sandwiched. Not quite as bad, but it is a 2.5 inch inside diameter, then sandwiched, so it doesn't flow very well. This is a 2.5 inlet up here. You can get ATS had an upgrade. I forget what they call this part of the turbo, the downpipe part of the manifold, I guess we'll just call it, that went. Ford put the smaller one on it so that these things, to detune these things so that they didn't compete with the factory power stroked numbers that were just about to come out by the time they had factory factory turboing the IDIs. But I'm not really that worried about it. It's 2.5 inch inlet there, and then it goes to 2 3/4 at the end. We will be necking that up to a 3 inch, and then the 3 inch will be straight out to right in front of the rear axle, and then just 90'd out. Keep it nice and simple, as free flowing as possible for an IDI. I do have, where the hell did I put it? Oh, right there. There is the crossover pipe. Since these don't have regular up pipes like a power stroke, they have the crossover, the collector, and then up. He had his original EGT gauge there. I will be capping that off with this nice convenient bung that comes here, and the EGT gauge will now be going into this Banks downpipe. No idea what kind of power it's going to make, but I do know that with a Jeep on the back, I should be able to at least maintain the speed limit going up the hill. Not worried about going fast. I have big blocks for going fast. My brother's the one that's into having fast. There's the new fuel pump sitting there, just getting kicked around like a soccer ball. We'll move that there. But yeah, hopefully here very soon, once I get caught up on some other projects, I will be able to get going on this. If you have the factory, I plan on making my old intake system, but like I said, I'm going to intercool this eventually for EGT purposes, and I don't want to build a intake system or buy an intake system if it's going to end up getting changed when it gets intercooled anyways. So hold off on that. Run the factory ATS 093 kit, which I was having a significantly hard time trying to find filters for, an air filter for. And that was just because every time I looked for it, I was searching ATS 093 air filter, and it just wasn't coming up with anything. But if you look up a 94, 90, or 93, 94, or 94, 95, I don't remember the last 2 years of the IDI were optioned factory with turbo. So if you look up in any parts catalog, O'Reilly's, Napa, AutoZone, an air filter for a factory turbo IDI the last 2 years, ignore the year of your truck if you have an earlier, like this is like my truck's an 89, this is a 93 motor. If I base it off a factory turbo IDI, also there was the air filter. Probably common sense to most people. I don't know why I racked my brain on that for so long. Stupid thing, but AFE actually sells a nice intake for it. I'm just going to run that kit for now. And if we have problems with EGTs, it just bolts right here, so it's kind of in a hot spot, but it'll be fine. If I have problems with it, I'll just put a rush on doing an intercooler. But for now, that will do just fine. Trucks have been running around with this kit on it for years and no issues, so I think I'll be happy with it. And like I said, it's a work truck. It's not a truck I drive regularly. I wanted AC because, you know, sometimes you got to use your work truck in the summertime and it gets hot, or sometimes it's August and you want to go wheeling and it's hot. So adding the AC kit was super nice. Just this turbo thing will be, once I'm done with that, I'll be completely happy with this setup. I'm not trying to go crazy with it. They do make some power adders. Classic Diesel Designs, R&D, they both have their own upgraded turbo kits. You can send this turbo to Classic Diesel Designs. They'll go through it. They'll put their own wheel in it. They'll put their own 360-degree ball bearings in it, and delete the wastegate and whatnot. And I'm not that interested in going that far with it. But that being said, it is roughly the same price as a new turbo. So if somewhere down the line I do wear this turbo out, that's probably the route I would go anyways. Is just the Classic Diesel Designs upgrade of this turbo, not their stage 1 or 2 or 3. They have better turbos for it, but probably just the upgraded version of this little baby guy. I mean, it's cute. It's adorable. My buddy's 1JZ has a bigger turbo on it, but we're not going for power. We're just going for a happy. If I can make like 500 foot-pounds of torque on it, and just maintain 60 miles an hour going up a 6% grade or something like that with a 4,000 pound Jeep on it and a 3,500 pound trailer, I will be more than happy. And in most scenarios, it tows phenomenally how it is. I just have to grab a lower gear and kind of hang out in the high RPMs and kind of eat my fuel economy alive. I'm not trying to do that. I would like to be able to just be on the highway going up slight hills in fifth gear and maintaining speed. And not have to drop down to such a lower speed to grab a lower gear. I've never had it in a spot where I was worried about it pulling up a hill. I've pulled forklifts. I've pulled my Platinum Series Cornwell toolbox when I changed shops with both lockers and fully loaded with all my tools, somewhere in probably around 10,000 pounds on a 4,000 pound equipment trailer. 4,500 pound equipment trailer does it great. Forklifts like 5,600 pounds, and did that on the same trailer. And then that same day I went out and picked up 3 pallets of bricks, somewhere around 14,000 pounds total with trailer. And it was slow going, don't get me wrong, but I never worried about towing, actually getting there. It was just slow going, hit the hazards, pissing people off a little bit. This will be nice to have and hopefully irritate people a little bit less. But that's all I have for now with the IDI. I have some updates with the 79, which I haven't really done much, but that's for a different video. But hopefully some of you watched this and found at least the serpentine side of this video useful. If you're considering doing that swap, all you need to do is just get the complete stuff. It's so easy. I mean, it took me maybe 4 hours lollygagging, chit-chatting with a friend and music blasting in the shop. Just really lollygagging at it. And super easy. I think the hardest part of the job was after the water pump was off, cleaning up, the front cover where it bolts to, just so that I had a good seal. Super easy engine to work on. That's a huge part of why I went with the IDI over a Power Stroke, because I just knew I wasn't going to drive it every single day. It was going to do a lot of sitting, come out on the weekends, Home Depot runs, etc. And I just needed something just simple like a 12 valve, but not 12 valve prices. A 12 valve would be cool, but not in a Dodge. Maybe get another dent side, swap it into that. That would be more my jam. But thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.